bula mundi mwawase Jemo mosangamu Jejino Jemo ya misasiye Laitaba mon amor Polo y pono nyola bato bese Isima pola pondo ngona moto tale De injo nangilae Isi bese biso bue Ella kisane ponde mote Maombo mune mori mongo pene pasie Manyaka mabuki ngomba nyamae Dea mutiti pere kamde boye Tata no yande Esungwa matanda Amota benamae Oma wasande nje
Martinez, they might have the impression that soon everything would be over and your killers would go scot-free, but that is a lie. We are on the issue, we are on the case, we are not going to give up until the last man standing concerning your death has also fallen. Good evening, faithful viewers of Equinoxe Television. We thank you so much for being with us on this edition of the news. Right away, we begin with our major stories as usual. The exclusion of some big wigs from the Social Democratic Front continues to make news within the political space in Cameroon. We spoke to a legal mind to find out if their exclusion, especially that of Honorable Jean-Michel Nicho, could have far-reaching consequences on the party. We will be telling you more in this edition of the news. And we will be taking you to Nigeria to meet our special envoy Babula Jonathan, who says opposition parties are furious. They are asking for the cancellation of the presidential election in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. They say massive rigging has been reported in some states and cautioned by the Independent National Elections Commission, INEC. Stay with us for details and more. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for according us your time this evening for the 6 p.m. newscast. We begin in politics. The exclusion of Honorable Jean-Michel Nicho from the SDF party would have very little or no impact in his mandate as MP at the National Assembly, according to Article 15, Sub 3 of the state constitution. However, the impacts will be multiple on the Social Democratic Front party. This follows, or according to the reading of a jurist and political analyst in Douala, Honorable Jean-Michel Nicho wasted no time in reacting to his exclusion or his dismissal from the SDF. For me, Armstrong Sander tells us more. We will be coming to For Me Armstrong's paper concerning the exclusion of Honorable Jean-Michel Nicho from the SDF party that will be in the course of this newscast. Now we talk something else. Many Cameroonians have expressed their inability to stay away from Facebook for a whole day, even though today has been observed as a day without Facebook. Many Cameroonians say respecting such a day is not an option for them. Immaculate Fogwe explains why February 28 is observed as Facebook Free Day.
Combating cyber dependence, addiction to screens and social networks is the brain behind the commemoration of the World Day Without Facebook. Observed each year on February 28th, the promoters set up the Facebook Free Day to fight the addiction. While questioning local inhabitants on the streets of Douala, many claim to be unaware that such a day exists. I don't even know that such a day exists. You are the one informing me now. Many advanced, diverse reasons for your attachment to this application. It is very difficult to stay a day without using Facebook. Most of my sales are done on Facebook, so my business depends on it. There are some important news that I get on Facebook. Due to Facebook, I am able to connect with the world. Though most of them say a day without Facebook is practically impossible, Adamo, on the contrary, says he deleted his Facebook account 3 years back and he is very happy with the decision he took. There is a lot of fake news, cyberbullying and hacking on Facebook. I stay away from the app for my own mental health. Many people have different reasons for using Facebook. Facebook enables us to connect with our friends, family members and things we care about most. However, if misused, it could be detrimental.
On a day which is observed as a no Facebook day, it is really difficult for most Cameroonians to stay away from Facebook for just a day. However, addiction is always very dangerous. Now we talk culture. The Bakoko clan in the Douala 3 area now has a new first-class chief. His Majesty Eru Jamil Songer is the new ruler of the Bakoko people. He is the eldest son of the late Chief Salomon Matiba Songer. The new Bakoko ruler was designated today by the royal family in the presence of other notables and third-class traditional rulers as well. Let's now listen to the senior divisional officer for the Vuri present during today's traditional ceremony.
The new chiefs, and when they design to me this chief, I have the obligation to make what we call procès verbal, when I send to the Minister of Territorial Administration. He too, he can send it to the Prime Minister, because you have to homologate this designation. And what I say to the new chiefs is that he have to work, that the community can be one. Because unity is a very, very good thing when you have to develop our community.
Now we come back to the exclusion of Honorable Jean-Michel Nietzsche from the Social Democratic Front recently. It will have no impact in his mandate as Member of Parliament at the National Assembly. That is according to Article 15, Sub 3 of the State Constitution. However, the impact will be multiple on the Social Democratic Front, the SDF party. This is according to the reading of a jurist or a legal mind and political analyst in Douala. Honorable Jean-Michel Nietzsche wasted no time in reading or reacting to his exclusion. As for me, I'm Trong That tells us in the report which comes up next.
It has been going very fast within the Social Democratic Front, the SDF party, since the weekend NEC meeting and the announced exclusion of some 34 high-ranking party officials. Less than 24 hours from the publication of the NEC resolution, Honorable Jean-Michel Nietzsche, Member of Parliament from the Vuri East constituency, wrote to the Speaker of the National Assembly asking him to acknowledge his exclusion from the SDF.
J'ai adressé une correspondance au secrétaire général de l'Assemblée.
The Member of Parliament asked the Speaker of the National Assembly to stop all deductions that were made on his funds to the benefit of the SDF. Honorable Jean-Michel Nietzsche further called on the Speaker to draw from his exclusion all the legal consequences relating to the composition of the offices and the Bureau of the National Assembly as of the opening of the March session of Parliament. A pregnant call elucidated by a jurist, Dr. Luison Essomba.
La notification qu'il a faite au secrétaire général sera donc annexée à cette décision.
Dr. Luison Essomba says the departure of Honorable Jean-Michel Nietzsche from the SDF parliamentary group at the National Assembly will weaken the numerical strength of the party and consequently deprive the party of the post of Quaestor of the National Assembly, which it currently occupies.
L'article 15 alinéa 3 précise que
Dr. Luison Osomba says the exclusion of Nincho from the SDF party will in no way affect his position as Member of Parliament according to Article 15 Sub 3 of the State Constitution.
Si le Nigel Fundi ne sort pas de sa bulle d'autorité.
He regrets that the once vibrant and historic Social Democratic Front is fast dying amidst the continuous exclusion of top party officials, infighting and carpet crossing.
Le SDF sera voué à des fractions un peu comme l'UPC l'a été dans une certaine période.
And now in other news, President Emmanuel Macron has outlined his country's new strategy for Africa, where anti-French sentiments run high in some of its former colonies ahead of a visit to Gabon, Angola, Congo, Brazzaville and the DRC. Emmanuel Macron says that France needs to demonstrate a profound humility in Africa. Lucy Liengu-Etier has more.
In a speech on Monday, French President Emmanuel Macron admitted that France is in a period of transition and is ready to build more balanced relationships with African countries to help boost their economic, cultural, social projects and security.
Bon nombre d'acteurs de notre politique avec l'Afrique qui, pour une bonne partie d'entre eux, vont avoir à m'accompagner dans ce déplacement à venir à partir de mercredi ou qui...
The talk comes a week after Burkina Faso booted out French troops and ended a military accord that allowed France to fight insurgents in the West African nation.
Demain, notre présence s'inscrira au sein de bases, d'écoles, d'académies qui seront co-gérées, fonctionnant avec des effectifs français.
In his speech, he also said France will end its practice of hosting regular military bases in Africa and will instead establish academies which will be co-run by French and African armies.
Les entrepreneuses et entrepreneurs, les innovateurs, les sportifs, les artistes, les scientifiques.
French President Emmanuel Macron went on to say that France wants to avoid giving out lectures to its African partners, but hoped that France could help foster small businesses and entrepreneurship in Africa and beyond.
Bâtir un nouveau modèle de partenariat militaire. C'est tout le travail que nous avons conduit ces derniers mois, d'abord en le concevant, puis en le discutant, en le travaillant avec nos partenaires africains.
President Emmanuel Macron is set to visit Gabon, Angola, Congo, and the Democratic Republic of Congo on Wednesday in what will be his 18th trip to Africa since he took office in 2017. He promises a new partnership of equal approach to the continent.
We now take you over to the Federal Republic of Nigeria to meet our special envoy, Babula Jonathan, who tells us that the opposition parties, notably the PDP and the Labour Party, the LP, are asking that the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, the INEC, Mahmoud Yakubu, resigns and the elections cancelled. They are condemning massive fraud in most states during the presidential election. They spoke to the press in Abuja a few hours ago. Hello, Babila, you are on standby in Abuja, Nigeria. What is happening at the moment? What are the updates?
As a result of the 2023 presidential election in the Federal Republic of Nigeria continues streaming in, the opposition is uniting against fraud and manipulation of election results, and they are also decrying the lack of independence of the Independent National Electoral Commission. And three opposition political parties, notably the Labour Party, the PDP and the ADC, converge to talk to the press on these, and they are asking the government to do something before things run out of hand. They told reporters that they may not be able to control their supporters when things run out of hand because of the growing anger and tension over the alleged manipulation of election results by the Independent National Electoral Commission. Here today, the opposition leaders, three of them, the chairman of the Labour Party, Julius Abule, and the PDP party, Ayocha Ayu, and of course the chairman of the ADC party, Raphael Nozu, spoke to the press, and they were very firm that if nothing is done, the situation may become chaotic in the days ahead, especially when the final results of the presidential election is made public by the Independent National Electoral Commission. Now, we want you to take a listen to the chairman of the PDP political party, Ayocha Ayu. The PDP political party has as candidate Atiku Abubakar, who was won, however, in some states. Now take a listen to Ayocha Ayu. He is the chairman of the PDP.
if we even look at the voting pattern, most of the votes came particularly to the Labour Party and the People's Democratic Party and a few other parties. So Nigerians have confidence in us to lead them, and we therefore will not disappoint them, but we want to take a democratic process. I can't take an individual position.
What are your fears and what are you asking INEC to do now?
INEC is supposed to be an independent commission, but they have demonstrated unbelievable bias favoring one political party, the party in government. And therefore, we think it has lost its credibility or its independence. And particularly by violating the very Electoral Act, which was passed by Nigeria's National Assembly, signed into law, and of which the guidelines that INEC provided all the political parties derives from that electoral. In other words, they have quasi-legal status. For INEC to violate that, it means INEC is degenerating into an illegal body, because it is not supposed to violate its own guidelines and to violate the Electoral Act. Thank you very much. Yes.
They are calling on the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission to resign, and we ask the chairman of the Labour Party, Julius Abule, why they are asking the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mahmoud Yakubu, to step down, and this is what he told us.
Electoral process is rooted in confidence and trust. And therefore, where there is no more confidence and trust, or where that trust and confidence is betrayed, the best thing to do is to step down. That walkout yesterday was enough signal for him to have known that he has lost it. In all my interviews before today, I've always maintained that I trust the integrity of the INEC chairman, but that he has betrayed totally by his conduct, by his behavior, and conduct of this election. And therefore, confidence and trust is end. I think he has destroyed that confidence. And that's why we are asking for his removal. We no longer believe that he has that integrity to be able to conduct free, fair, and credible election. And I need to put it here very clearly that they may have given excuses that they had technical hitches. That server was deliberately pulled down by INEC in order to allow the APC to manipulate results and compromise the process. And therefore, it touches on the personality and integrity of INEC. And that's why we have lost confidence in his continued sharing of these processes that will give us a new Nigeria.
There is a tension in the air. There are worries. The people are expressing grave concerns over the fate of the republic with the way things are unfolding. They are expressing disappointment with the unfolding of the compilation and proclamation of the results, and even the election proper, highlighting a series of things that didn't go well, a series of hitches in the electoral process observed in different parts of the country. So that's how things are happening here, and the opposition continue converging. Above these worries, they are all calling on the population to stay calm. They are calling for peace, no violence, but they are, however, warning that they may not be able to control their militants if nothing is done. They are also highlighting the responsibility of the outgoing president, Muhammadu Buhari, and calling on him to take action to rectify things and make sure that justice is done, and make sure that only those who got the votes are declared winners, because they are already saying that their votes and of course their victory is being gradually and systematically stolen in an organized manner by the Independent National Electoral Commission. Babla Jonathan, Emmanuel Job in Abuja.
Thank you so much, Babila Jonathan. You are on the ground, you are in Abuja, and Shah will be giving us updates from most collation centers. And now, viewers, before we take you on to sports, this press release just coming in from the Ministry of Defense. It reads, the Ministry of Defense hereby informs that on Monday, 27 February 2023 at about 11 a.m., an unfortunate incident involving 4 elements of the defense and security forces resulted in the death of a civilian in the locality of Mosultuk in Motuwa subdivision in the Mayokani division of the far north region of the country. As a matter of fact, the 4 elements who were on permission and had gone to the village of Mosultuk for personal reasons had stopped over in a local drinking spot to relax. They were joined there by 2 other customers, one of whom was Ayan Kofung Etienne, a teacher at the government bilingual high school, Kailing. The teacher recognized one of the soldiers' private second class Wokum posted to the 5th B, with whom he had scores to settle. Under the influence of alcohol, a violent altercation ensued between the teacher and the soldier. Unfortunately, it ended in the death of the teacher, who was stabbed by the soldier. The body of the deceased teacher was deposited at the Kaili District Hospital mortuary, and the minister delegate at the presidency in charge of defense deeply regrets this tragic incident and extends his heartfelt condolences to the bereaved family, colleagues, and students of the victim. As immediate precautionary measures, Private Second Class Welcome Bye was arrested, disarmed, demobilized, taken out of the area by force, and placed under arrest at the Kaili Gendarmerie Company. Regarding the 3 comrades who witnessed the scene, they are under thorough investigation by the Moturwa Territorial Gendarmerie Brigade. Investigations immediately opened by local administrative and judicial authorities, as well as the defense and security forces, who shed light and establish the magnitude and responsibilities in this unfortunate incident, which will follow rigorous legal procedure and will be communicated regularly at all levels. The communique is signed today by Navy Captain Atongfak Gemo Siru Serge, Head of Communication at the Ministry of Defense. And now we take you over to our sports page. All the 32 nations to compete for the FIBA World Cup trophy are now known without the name of Cameroon on the list. Cameroon compromised their chances of playing in the Basketball World Cup during the first window of the qualifiers. The FIBA World Cup will be taking place in the Philippines, Japan, and Indonesia later this year. Smart Dikan Gabriel talked to a basketball trainer, Ifose Emil Mbela, and compared this report for the news.
The indomitable Lions of basketball defeated the Democratic Republic of Congo 85-56 before beating Egypt 71-63 points and lost to Senegal 63-89 points. A basketball trainer in Buea, Ifose Emil Mbela, says this absence is a huge loss for the federation and Cameroon.
The team started well. At one point in time, they lost concentration, and now at this last point in time, they had some 2 wins and 1 loss. I want to say it's a booster also, because it's not easy to have the persons to represent us. You know, even those at the NBA cannot be there, because having them at this particular instant is challenging.
Ifose Emil Mbela believes several reasons could be linked to the non-participation of the team at the FIBA World Cup.
The familiarity between the coach and his players, because he's a new coach, and with the switch from one coach to the other, there was this challenge. I wanted to believe also that we still need to step up in terms of our players who are playing at the international scene. Most of our players are least heard in recent times, like in previous times. And we pray. That point again I want to reiterate is that the federation needs to step up on the way we do the national selections. I also pray that we should improve also on the number of home-based players at one point in time.
But do the Lions have a chance of playing at the basketball tournament during the Olympic Games in 2024?
The basketball team can qualify if they open up to the qualifiers. There were about 12 teams for these windows that were going on, and Cameroon was among the first 10, though they didn't qualify for the FIBA World Cup. And they can if the Olympic window is open and we perform perfectly, I think we can go for the Olympic Games.
Africa will be represented at the FIBA World Cup like Angola, Egypt and Ivory Coast, alongside newcomers Cape Verde and South Sudan, who are the surprise package of the tournament that will run from August 25th through September 10, 2023 in 3 countries: Philippines, Japan and Indonesia.
He goes and has a conversation with the referee.
Thank you, Smart, for that report. Before we go on to the second part of the news, just to let you know that yet to be confirmed reports have it that one of the victims of the blast during the mountain race in Boya is said to have given up the ghost in the hospital in Boya. We will be coming back to that detailing. That would be in our subsequent news editions. And now, viewers, that does it for the first part of the news. Don't go away. Talking Points comes up next. Welcome back. We will be talking about the elections and the electoral process in the Federal Republic of Nigeria with our guest tonight, Tando George, who is a political analyst. Tando George, thank you so much for accepting to be our guest tonight on Talking Point. We are talking about the elections, the election which is very tense, filled with tension, and with some opposition parties already calling for the resignation of the chairman of the the Independent National Electoral Commission, the INEC, because of fraud and rigging recorded in most states across Nigeria. That is according to the opposition parties, especially the LP and the PDP. Thank you so much for accepting to be our guest tonight. I want to find out from you, you've been following the trends of the elections in Nigeria, even during the campaigns. What's your overview or your appraisal of the electoral process in Nigeria, taking into consideration transparency, fairness, and even tranquility?
Really, I would like to say that presidential elections this year in Nigeria witnessed a massive participation in the history of presidential elections in that country. In fact, there has been an increase of over 11 million voters. 11 million voters. And this is not without the fact that there has been high expectation from Nigerians following this year's elections, because they thought that a new Nigeria would be possible this time around. And they still feel up till this moment that there's going to be a new Nigeria. Commenting about the transparency of the elections, the fairness, and whether it was free, I would say that all these 3 values were seriously compromised, and accusing fingers are being pointed at the election management body, which is INEC, that many results from many states have been doctored not to reflect the actual thing that happened at the field or in the field. There are cases of underage children voting in places like Kanu, northern part of the country. There were disruptions. We saw on video there were disruptions in some polling stations in Lagos, Anambra State, Kaduna, Cross River, and River State, and many parts of Nigeria, some that have not even been recorded. Also, there were cases of late arrival of electoral materials. There were cases of malfunctioning of this electoral gadget. And there were cases of disenfranchisement of voters in some areas where if you do not belong to a particular party, you are not allowed to go and vote. So generally, the elections in Nigeria it seems to have been witnessing some doctoring, and that is what exactly is taking place right now.
You were already mentioning it a while ago, Mr. George Tando. Some opposition party members, they think that the INEC, which is the Independent Electoral Commission in Nigeria, has not been very impartial, because they are even claiming that the servers of the INEC have been tampered with. Do all these accusations put to question the independent nature of the INEC, which is the Independent Electoral Commission overseeing the elections in Nigeria?
In my opinion, I feel that the INEC, that is the Independent Electoral Commission, has been compromised. There are some reasons that I want to give here, especially that which has to do with the electoral gadgets, the electoral machines. Before the election day, the INEC official had promised in the parliament that everything is going to be free and fair, and that in fact the materials that are already at their disposal has been tested several times and proven to be very effective, which means concerning the machines, they are not going to witness any defect. And 117 billion was pumped into the INEC to ensure that they get good gadgets, which they did, the logistics, and also provision of other materials to ease elections, especially if it gets into the night, like electricity, gadgets, transportation of officials, and all the like, and even data, network. All this was put in place. But unfortunately, on the day of elections, it proved that, according to the INEC chairman, that they are witnessing some defects, some hitches with connectivity. And someone said that this is not true, because all those machines were responding well, because in the field, the INEC officials, they would register elections on the machine, the results on the machines, but they will not upload it. Uploading to the collation center, the central unit, which will automatically be received by the central unit in Abuja. This was not done in most cases intentionally. So the people think that the INEC officials, they have compromised. They have been compromised by a particular political party.
And now the candidacy of the youngest candidate, let's put it that way, is above 60, but he is the youngest candidate in the presidential election. I'm talking about Peter Obi. When we look at the trends, unofficial results show that he is not first, he is second or even third. Can that be a discouraging factor to the Nigerian youth who had somehow put their hope in Peter Obi, who was like an example of youthfulness, and they were like, okay, somebody of our generation is going to take over power, and let's see how it goes. Can that be a discouraging factor to the youth in Nigeria?
The candidacy of Mr. Peter Obi was seen, or is being seen in Nigeria, as the rising sun, the sun that is going to set Nigeria free from the yoke of political bondage, from the yoke of economic bondage, from the yoke of social ills and underdevelopment, as they call it. So these, in fact, triggered a lot of awareness. The coming of Mr. Peter Obi, given his record, triggered a lot of awareness and mobilization amongst the youth, especially, and the Nigerian population in general. And most of these mobilizations were done by the influencers or the celebrities, the popular stars in Nigeria, and they supported him head on, and they supported him directly and objectively without any fear. And they did this on their Twitter handles, on their Facebook pages, on their blogs, and I mean, this has been going on ever since voter registration was launched. That is why you see the dramatic increase of voters in Nigeria. Is thanks more to the celebrities and even to the church, because everybody thought that the coming of this man would be like a redeemer of Nigeria. And the participation has been massive. And up to this moment, what we are witnessing in Nigeria now, the results have not been declared, and it seemed not to be in favor of this candidate that was much talked about, that Nigerians are hoping that he is the one to redeem them. So we are just waiting to see the last minute result or the declaration from INEC. If it is not positive, I think we will have many things to analyze about it, or many things may go wrong. But we don't pray for that, and we don't pray for escalation of situations should the result not come in favor of the Nigerian population or the youth.
Talking about everything being positive, Mr. George Tando, as a political analyst, can you explain this to us? Some political parties actually staged walkouts from some collation centers, that is, some centers which are counting their votes, because they were furious of complaining about rigging and fraud. Do you see some post-electoral crisis after the presidential election in Nigeria?
Yes, the Labour Party and the PDP started protesting the results right from the night of Saturday, the day the elections took place. Up till this moment, they are still protesting. You could watch videos of members of the Labour Party and the PDP at the INEC Collation Center talking with such anger and walking out of the hall. This shows dissatisfaction and sometimes a rising discontent. But I will not see any protest if it ends at the level of parties protesting the results. But I see a serious problem from the way the population is reacting to the results that the INEC is uploading to the public. This morning alone, thousands of youth stormed the INEC headquarters in Abuja, and they protested the whole day. And I don't know if they are still there as we speak. And protests have been going on in other parts of Nigeria against the results that we are witnessing. Like I say, we should only pray for the worst not to happen, because there's a likelihood of post-election violence.
And now, this last question, Mr. George. The Mixed Observer Commission is made up of some very great personalities, especially former presidents like Thabo Mbeki, who is for the African Union. We also have Uhuru Kenyatta, who is of the Commonwealth. And we also have another former president, Ernest Bai Koroma from Sierra Leone, who are all observing the elections in Nigeria. What can account for those personalities being there to observe the presidentials in Nigeria?
The former president of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, and former president of South Africa, Thabo Mbeki, and the rest of great personalities that are in Nigeria to witness these elections, not excluding international organizations that monitor elections, is a pointer to the kind of perception they have about Nigeria, and to the strategic position of Nigeria to the rest of Africa, democracy, politics, economy, and you can name them. That is just the reason, because they don't do that. Like if you go to, if there is presidential elections in Cameroon, you won't see these people, or other countries in Africa. So seeing them in Nigeria is just the perception they have about Nigeria, and that is why we are saying that the INEC has a very big role to play in this election, doing its job and doing it perfectly.
Thank you so much, George Tando, for accepting to talk to us about the elections going on in Nigeria in the second part of the news. And because of time constraint, we wanted to find out also if Nigeria can actually be considered as an example of democracy in Africa. But we will be talking about that in our next news edition. And viewers, thank you so much for always being there. Don't go away. As usual, our programs continue. In about 15 minutes, Serge Alangoto will be in the studio for your program Equinoxe, and the news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television. Bye-bye for now.
Equinoxe Télévision.